Let's be clear from the start. Kindness alone is not enough to succeed in this world. If you believe that simply being a good person will lead you to success, you're living in a fantasy. And the worst part, deep down, you already know it, even if you refuse to admit it. How many times have you done the right thing, only to be ignored or even taken advantage of? How many times have you expected fairness, only to realize the world doesn't work that way? You've been taught that honesty, nobility, and virtue will be rewarded. But reality is different. The world doesn't reward the good. It rewards those who understand how to navigate it. And this is exactly where Machiavelli comes in. Machiavelli understood something that most people choose to ignore. Human nature is complex. It can be selfish, unpredictable, and even ruthless when necessary. In The Prince, he made one thing very clear. Virtue without intelligence is a weakness. Kindness without strategy is a trap. Now ask yourself, how many times have you fallen into that trap? Think about the people you admire, the ones who have truly made an impact. Do you really believe they got to where they are with good intentions alone? They understood how to move strategically, how to adapt, and when necessary, how to operate from the shadows. They knew that morality is not an obstacle, it's a tool. And the key isn't abandoning it, but learning when to use it and when to guard it. That is the difference between being a player and being a pawn. The problem isn't that you're a good person. The problem is that you expect others to play by the same rules. But they don't. The world is full of opportunists, people who can spot naivety from a mile away. And without realizing it, you've been the perfect target. You've been operating under the assumption that fairness governs everything. But fairness is not a law of nature. It's an ideal. And ideals mean nothing if you don't have the power to enforce them. This is where Machiavelli offers you a different path. Intelligent kindness. It's not about being ruthless. It's not about betraying your principles. It's about understanding that kindness must be paired with awareness. It's about reading people, anticipating their motives, and knowing when to trust and when to protect yourself. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Now let me ask you, what have you chosen? Most people choose to be loved, to be accepted, to be seen as harmless. But what has that really given you? Respect? Power? What it has given you is a reputation that allows others to use you without consequences. Because kindness without strength doesn't inspire admiration, it invites pity. Make no mistake, I'm not telling you to stop being good. I'm telling you to stop being naive. The world doesn't reward those who simply have good intentions. It rewards those who combine goodness with intelligence, those who balance ethics with pragmatism, those who understand that survival isn't about purity of heart. It's about knowing how to navigate reality. Machiavelli knew that image is everything. It's not just about who you are. It's about how others perceive you. If you project weakness, people will treat you as weak. If you command strength, people will treat you with respect. How many times have you allowed yourself to be disrespected just to avoid conflict? How many times have you stayed silent to keep the peace, only to realize you lost more than you gained? This isn't about cruelty. It's about strategy. The key is knowing when to act, when to speak, when to step forward, and when to step back. Kindness, when used correctly, is a strength. But unchecked, it becomes your greatest liability. The mistake good people make is believing that the world values purity of heart. It doesn't. The world values power, confidence, and decisiveness. Kindness is only respected when it is backed by strength. Without power, your kindness is irrelevant. Machiavelli would tell you this. Don't be a lamb in a world of wolves. Don't let your morality make you blind to reality. There's a reason why the most powerful people rarely speak more than they have to. They understand the importance of strategic silence. Most people believe that the more they talk, the more they can prove themselves. But in reality, the more you talk, the more you expose your weaknesses. How many times have you revealed too much to someone? only to have it used against you later? How many times have you spoken without thinking, only to regret it? The ability to control information is one of the greatest tools of power. The person who speaks too freely becomes predictable. The person who reveals everything becomes vulnerable. Think about the most influential people in history. The ones who commanded attention weren't the loudest. They were the ones who spoke with precision. Every word had meaning. Every sentence was calculated. Their silence created mystery, and that mystery created power. Strategic silence doesn't mean you never speak. It means you speak when it matters most. You control the flow of information. You control how much others know about you. And in doing so, you control how others perceive you. Most people believe that power is about dominance, that controlling others is the key to success. But true power isn't about controlling people. It's about controlling yourself. The person who can't control their emotions, who reacts impulsively, who lets others dictate their state of mind, that person is weak. Machiavelli understood that the greatest leaders are not the ones who shout the loudest, but the ones who remain unshaken. Emotional control is what separates the powerful from the powerless. When someone insults you, do you react with anger? When someone ignores you, do you shrink back? Or do you remain steady, unaffected, letting them wonder what you're thinking? Powerful people are never easily provoked, because the moment someone can make you react, they own you. They've taken control of your emotions, and that means they've taken control of you. At this point, you have a choice. You can continue living under the illusion that kindness alone is enough. You can keep hoping that the world will reward you just for being a good person, or you can start playing by the real rules of the game. You can learn to project strength even when you don't feel it. You can learn to be kind, but never at the cost of your self-respect. You can learn to use silence as a weapon. You can learn to control how others perceive you. You can learn to master your emotions instead of letting them master you. Because in the end, power doesn't belong to those who wish for it. It belongs to those who understand it. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to encourage people to be evil. He wrote it to teach people how to survive. Now the question is, will you keep playing by rules that were designed to keep you weak? Or will you finally start playing to win? If this message resonated with you, leave a comment with the phrase, "Power is in the silence." Let's see who really understands the game. And if this video made you rethink the way you approach life, hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning.